Thank you all for coming out today. I'm going to take these off for a second so it gets as serious as it needs to be. I want to thank the City of Holyoke and once again Mayor Alex Morse for getting behind us on this very important cause for the second year in a row. So many of you know that I'm Andrea. My son's name is Riley. He was diagnosed with a form of pediatric brain cancer in September of 2011. There were no red flags or smoking gun, symptoms for this. We were just at a routine medical appointment and brain cancer was discovered. 9 months after his diagnosis, he passed away. Today we're here to bring awareness to and discuss very candidly the topic of childhood cancers. For those of you that do know me and know of me at least, you know that I refuse to ever sugarcoat the truth and severity about what childhood cancer has done, about what it is doing and what it can do and continues to do to our youth and their loved ones on a daily basis. So we're going to talk pretty bluntly today about childhood cancer. Many people in the general public don't like to acknowledge childhood cancer as the critical and urgent social issue that it is. People, of course, feel bad when they hear about kids going through cancer or about kids dying, but not the kind of bad where they're interested in learning more or moved to take action. Instead, people feel bad and then turn their heads and usually look the other way. For the most part, acknowledging kids' cancers is, I guess, just too hard, too sad, and too scary for most people. A lot of parents act like it's contagious, like it might be their kid next if they were to jinx themselves and talk about it or dare get involved in any way. Childhood cancer is the #1 leading cause of death by disease in kids. And it is also the second leading cause of death, period, when it comes to our kids. It comes in only second place next to accidents. What does this all mean? Well, it means there is no other health condition out there killing off as many kids as childhood cancer does. So in the world of health and medicine and doctor's appointments and pediatricians and school systems and parents, childhood cancer really should be a priority on everyone's list and everyone's radar to talk about and learn about in an open and realistic way. What else does this mean? Well, it means that as much as we take precautions and try to protect our children and keep them safe from accidents, we should also really be discussing ways to keep our children safe from cancer and ways to keep children who already have cancer safe from toxic, dangerous, and outdated methods of treatment. On any given day, there is well over 40,000 children living on pediatric oncology units in children's hospitals across the U.S. Every single day in this country, 43 children are diagnosed with cancer. Just last year, when I stood up here at this very same ceremony, that number was 36, and now it's 43. To give you all an example of what it looks like per day, 43 children getting diagnosed with cancer. We actually have, I think 43, hopefully, non-cancer children here today who are willing to help us out and display some photos of 43 children who have heard the words, "You have cancer," who are part of this statistic. Every single day that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer, children who are already going through cancer are dying. In fact, over 7 children per day die during their first 5 years of diagnosis. In addition to that, roughly 5 more children who have exceeded their 5-year mark and been deemed a survivor also end up dying. That equals out to about 12 children per day who die because of cancer. As the general public, we often hear the phrase, childhood cancer is rare. I like to take a minute here to point out a simple mathematical concept for whoever coined that phrase or uses it. If childhood cancer is our number one health concern because it kills most kids of all than any other medical condition, then it is not mathematically possible for it to be rare. Please know that the only thing rare about childhood cancer is the funding and the public awareness that it receives, because sadly that has been slim to none. The National Cancer Institute, aka our federal tax dollars, has never in all of time allocated more than 4% of its total cancer research budget to kids' cancers. Childhood cancer receives 4 cents out of every research dollar, and adult cancers receive the other 96%. And yes, you heard that correctly. 4% to kids and 96% to grown-ups. For anyone who might not have known this yet, when we are talking about childhood cancers, are not talking about kids who get cancer at an early age, or who get adult cancers at an early age. We are talking about a specialized set of cancer diseases that are pertinent to childhood. Kids' cancers are not the same strands of cancer that occur in adulthood. They are a totally separate type of disease. They're divided into 12 major categories. Childhood cancers have a different etiology than adult cancers and behave much differently than them. And because they strike during childhood, its victims are at risk of losing an average of 71 years off of their natural life expectancy. And that is a lifetime. A lifetime compared to what adults with cancer are at risk of losing. With that in mind, let's demonstrate real quick what exactly our federal cancer funding looks like in this country. I have an adult volunteer coming up here, and if I can get one kid from the chorus to come up for a minute and help me out. So here I have $1 of cancer research money, basically 100 pennies. And this is what we do when we allocate cancer research funds. Children with cancer. 1, 2, 3, 4. And adult cancers. 96. Thank you. So that is how the main source of cancer research funding, which is coming from our federal tax dollars, is divided in this country and has been. Children with cancer have never been a priority for funding or awareness, let alone has there at least been equal funding or equal division of awareness. The majority of funds getting raised for childhood cancer research typically come from small-time, private foundations, most of which are run by the parents and loved ones of children who've been lost to cancer. And that is not enough. And still, they are the ones who are out there shaving their heads, running in half marathons. They are the ones hosting benefits, trying to save the lives of future cancer children. I know if my son was here and heard that, he would most likely say his famous phrase of, "What? That ain't right." And it's not right at all. The fate of children's lives should not be resting on the hands of the families who are already in crisis. We as a community, as a nation, as parents of children who don't have cancer, as politicians, as authority figures, and as a human race, we need to do better. It is unacceptable that we haven't. I could stand up here all day long, and I probably would, rallying off tons of important statistics and facts about childhood cancers. Spreading awareness essentially means to give people information. I bet before today, many of you out there today did not even know that the color gold was what represented all children who ever experienced cancer. Why didn't you know that? Somewhere along the line, awareness for kids' cancers is falling through the cracks. Passionate and fiery advocates like myself are sometimes trying so hard to be a voice for children that we are forgetting to embrace the voices of children themselves. With the incidence of kids' cancers increasing at a rate of 6% per year, your children are seeing more and more out there in their own social circles that childhood cancer does exist. Preschoolers, middle school students, elementary school students, high school students. Many of them know the wrath that childhood cancer brings. Many of them have seen their peers going through cancer, losing their hair, being too sick or their counts too low to play. And many of them cry at bedtime, missing their friends and classmates who have died. Kids need a voice and deserve a voice in this social issue that affects their population.
Childhood cancer is the #1 disease killer of kids, as well as the second leading cause of all child deaths in this country. Childhood cancers are a different group of diseases than adult cancers. Childhood cancer is not one single disease. It is many different kinds of diseases that can be organized under 12 major categories. Childhood cancer occurs regularly, randomly, and spares no ethnic group, socioeconomic class, or geographic region.
Childhood cancers are not the result of prior health or lifestyle factors, as many adult cancers.
The average age a child is diagnosed with cancer is 6 years old. The average child age a child dies from cancer is 8 years old. Childhood cancer kills more kids in this country than diabetes, pediatric AIDS,
cystic fibrosis, asthma, genetic anomalies, and muscular dystrophy combined.
Thank you. One thing I want to make sure that everyone understands before the end of this ceremony today is that childhood cancer is not just adorable kids whose hair falls out from chemo, like most TV commercials make it out to be. It is not all fun and games, and it does not consist of most kids receiving their miracle cure and happy ending like we are led to believe. Childhood cancer is not winners and losers and fighters and angels and warriors and superheroes with magical powers and braveness. It is not a game that must be won. It is a very real, very serious set of diseases that affects real children. Children do not decide one day that they are cool about no longer fighting the beast or battling the monster. They do not decide their bodies aren't strong enough to fight anymore. They do not give up in their battle and make a choice to stop living. We are failing our children. We as a society are failing. We as grown-ups are failing. Each and every time we fail to ensure sufficient awareness, proper funding, and safer cancer treatments for our youngest citizens, we are failing. A glimpse into the life of babies, toddlers, children, and teens with cancer looks like something like this. Multiple surgeries, serious medications with serious side effects, X-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, MIBG scans, blood draws, portacath placements, port accessing and deaccessing, being strapped down onto tables for radiation in a room all by yourself, blood transfusions, platelets, losing limbs, getting prosthetics, feeling sick and nauseous, having diarrhea, having fevers, intravenous chemotherapy, needing feeding tubes and NG tubes just to eat, getting severe headaches, becoming paralyzed, having bone marrow transplants. For so many kids with cancer, it means being wheelchair bound or bed bound when you once could run and play. It means becoming neutropenic and needing to wear an embarrassing mask everywhere you go. It means lumbar punctures, being in the ICU, hooked up to machines. It sometimes means being in comas. It means missing tons of school and tons of playtime with friends and family. It means missing out on childhood. As I said, when it comes to childhood cancers, there is not winners and losers and fighters and angels and warriors and superheroes. There is only kids. Real, everyday young people experiencing all of the things that I just mentioned.